listening to The Front Porch Show. Some shows are niche shows, talking about specific topics. Others, shows about nothing. This show is the show about everything. On The Front Porch Show, we'll talk about current events, some news, a little bit of politics, along with a whole lot of life. Welcome to Our Front Porch. 1-402-799-1811 is our message line number. www.thefrontporchshow.com. Check us out there. You can get all the latest episodes. You can go back and listen to old episodes. You can have a grand old time. Jeff, Tombstone has left us alone today.
He said we needed counseling, I think, is what he said.
And the time to rekindle our relationship.
See, when you put it that way, you make me want to run.
Yeah, when you sound that way, I want to leave. So, no, Tombstone is actually having a beach day. I mean, he leaves us here to slave away while he is taking his family.
Is he actually having a beach day? Because he's, quote unquote, going to the beach in Charleston, right? South Carolina? Is that where he's going?
I believe so.
But see, didn't you send me a picture that Andrew Yang is actually speaking in Charleston, South Carolina?
I did send that to you. Unfortunately, that's next week. So maybe Tombstone got the weeks wrong. I don't know.
That's what it was.
Chasing down Yang.
Because I think he's fanboying Yang.
Yang Gang.
Yeah.
Hashtag Yang Gang. Tombstone just wants that. Tombstone just wants those freedom bucks or whatever they're calling that.
His isn't freedom bucks, is it?
UBI. What is he calling that? Man, I
think it's just Yang bucks.
No. Oh, the freedom dividend. The freedom dividend.
That's right. It's the democracy dollars or whatever is the other one I was confused.
The democracy dollars. That's the Jeff. That's what got us in trouble last week.
Is that what kicked it off?
That's what kicked off our conversation. So, may I be the first to say I harbor nothing against you, Jeff.
Oh, and neither do I. And I've done some thinking. Okay, on this issue. And both of us I've actually gone back and listened to the episode while I was working on my house.
Nice.
Sometimes I feel weird listening to us. Sometimes I don't. And it was enjoyable.
It was.
It was really enjoyable. I've changed a little bit.
Oh.
In reference to what you said. First off, on the fly, trying to come up with analogies, I'm afraid I came across more pro-big government than I actually truly am. But
I was a little nervous about that, man, to be honest.
But you also know me, and I think you understand.
Oh, now, without a doubt.
Here's where I think I'm at. I'm still not going to concede that it's if one company doesn't pay taxes and another does, that it's a handout or that it's a cost to the company paying taxes. It's not a zero-sum game that way. However, I get what you're saying about, I don't think it's picking winners and losers, but having these little special carve-outs. Here's what I do think a government should be able to do, and I think you'll agree with me here and maybe not.
Okay.
And that is to offer some sort of policies of a tax holiday for all new businesses that move to the state. So if you just have, or the city. So if you have a policy that says anyone who wants to put a new business here, maybe start a business here, I don't know, but definitely move a business here. You know, we defer tax payments for X number of years for new businesses, and we might diverge a little bit.
I can. So where you're at now, I can get behind that.
I might even. I haven't thought this through. It's coming to me on the fly now.
Okay.
I might even be okay for different lengths of time, depending on the scale of the business. Potentially.
That's where we would diverge on that.
We'd probably diverge there. But I do see what you're saying about people with big time lawyers getting these carve outs, and I think this would be more my policy anyways if I were in the position of a locality or a state. I think is that if we're going to do something, yes, there's certain kind of businesses we may want to bring in. We may want to bring in STEM fields or something. You know, we don't just want to bring in generic jobs that aren't going to last very long. Okay.
And I completely understand that. Right.
And that will also bring the other ones in.
Right. No,
so we're
absolutely.
closer than I think.
Yeah. I think we're pretty close. I'm not, as I said, we live in such a weird society anyways, where I think the government's just so big.
Yeah, I think I'm presupposing that the taxes are going to exist and the government is going to... Normally, I'm the theoretical guy arguing from principle, but in this case, I think I'm thinking from the aspect of, well, the local and state government is always going to exist.
Right. And see, I know it's going to exist too, but I just wish it were smaller. And
don't get me wrong,
in a lot of ways, I'm idealistic in that, and
yes,
it's because of my firsthand experience with the issues at hand.
Yes,
I mean, it's
what you're on. You're like, you've had different variations of small businesses in at least 3 different fields, and actually, I'm going to, as an olive branch maybe, and just because I'm desperate, reach out to you for some expertise in one of those fields that you've got some business going on. Yes. To quote Ron Swanson, I need you to delicately and tenderly show me the ways of flavorful meat love.
Jeff, we're getting way too personal, my friend.
So we started this personal, and
it sounds like we're going out.
Let's
personal
going back to personal.
Wow.
Yes. So
tender meat love.
Yes.
What are you embarking on?
We're hosting Mother's Day, and this may seem like an odd meal for Mother's Day.
At your house.
At our house. Yes, at our house.
Okay.
So and it's everybody. So it's going to be my in-laws. My parents will be up north with my grandparents, but my in-laws, my brother-in-law and his wife, my aunt, my wife's aunt, which is my aunt too, I guess, and her kids. And so there's going to be 14 of us. There's going to be 14 of us and 2 babies.
Wow.
And somehow ribs got chosen.
Hey, I am always a fan of ribs.
And I grill. I mean, I grill a lot. I like to grill steaks, burgers, chicken, all that stuff. I've never done ribs before, and I don't have a smoker, so we're doing it on the grill.
Yeah.
And so
I can talk you through this,
guidance.
Man. Did you know I took first place in a rib competition? My first rib competition ever.
I did not know you took first place. I knew you were doing competitions.
Yeah, walked away with
first place. I did not know that you took first place.
I have not been in a competition in a year and a half, unfortunately.
So you're rusty.
I'm a little rusty, but I can tell you my art is superb.
Okay.
So honestly, look, so part of my issue with the competitions, right? I believe food is supposed to be an experience, not a competition. But competitions are fun to go and to try to cook the best, right?
And do you get to try everybody else's?
Yeah, and that's the part of the experience part that I love about the competitions. And so, but I don't want to just cook ribs. I want to actually cook like other crazy stuff.
Brisket and
we did a killer brisket
everything.
for Super Bowl. Super Bowl, we did burnt ends and a brisket.
Ooh, burnt ends are burnt ends are good.
So we had a 15-pound brisket. It was completely gone by the end of the evening. There was like 8 of us, and like 20 pounds of wings, and it was our waistlines regretted it.
Sounds like an epic night.
It was. Who won the Super Bowl
this year?
Yeah, who won the? I'm just rubbing it in.
The Lions.
It wasn't the Lions.
You're not gonna rub it on me. I'm not a Patriot or Brady hater. I actually
that is true.
Brady was from the University of Michigan, and I am.
I was going to say Brady may have done some good things for Michigan. Yeah. So let's come back. Let's talk ribs, Jeff.
Let's do it because I need the guidance.
This is going to be a blast. I'm super psyched.
You're going to be my Yoda of the grill.
I will guide you. I will guide you, my son. You.
But put your sentences in the right order.
Guide you, I will.
We'll probably sit around and cook some soups and eat bread and desserts and just get all fat and sassy.
We eat ribs and whatnot and listen to salsa music. You see where I'm coming from?
See where it coming from?
I see where it's coming from.
Ponies for all Americans, one of the overlooked issues in America today.
Not on the menu. Not on the menu.
No, not maybe in Venezuela, but not here.
I was going to say not in the United States.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. I would like to see that change.
You would like to eat horse.
I have no problem with it.
Now, again, I think that's just one of those mental blocks.
It's a cultural thing.
We're gonna be banned for life. People are gonna hate us.
I know.
I do believe it's a cultural thing. I believe it's one of those things where we just look at it and this is an animal that's a pet / a work animal and not a food animal.
I know we've talked about this before, but you know the PETA billboard?
Yeah.
I'm just saying all options are on the table, Jeff. In the worst case scenario, all options are on the table.
Well, yes, in the worst case scenario.
But I draw the line near bunny and horse. Like bunny and horse, I'm okay with. Like bunny, I'm really okay with.
Bunny, I'm definitely okay
bunny,
with.
Bring that up to the top.
Rabbit.
Oh yeah, man. Ooh,
there's not much. I'm trying to remember what all's on that billboard.
I can't remember.
But
typical
yes,
PETA. They.
I do enjoy the people who have edited it and said, where do you draw the line? Right about here.
It's like I'm willing to go a little bit further if I have to, Jeff. I'm an equal opportunity eater of meat. I mean,
well, we are not doing horse ribs. We are doing baby back pork ribs.
Baby back ribs are good, man. I'm a fan of baby back ribs. Hard to cook sometimes, though.
Yeah, I know.
Tell me your method. Ribs. Tell me what are you planning on doing?
No, I don't have a method. I do not have a smoker.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm going with the grill.
Now, are you using propane and propane accessories?
It is propane. It is propane grill. I know that's anathema to the hardcore grillers.
That is sacrilege to me a little bit, Jeff.
Charcoal does get a nice flavor. It's a little harder to cook with, and I grew up with a propane grill.
You need to pick up your grill game, man. We'll work on that. We'll work on that. Little baby steps, though.
I need to get a smoker is what I need to do.
Yes, you do. They sell little offsets for like $80.
Yeah. Well, so here's the other. I'm using my father-in-law's grill because right now the grill I have is this tiny little charbroil. It was at my brother-in-law's house when they moved in. Oh man, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, something like that. And it was left there, and it looked practically brand new. So I cleaned it up for him. It's kind of dirty. Cleaned it all up for him, bought him a set of grill utensils, and said, "Here's your housewarming gift."
Nice,
basically.
That's awesome.
Because I don't have a lot of money. He never touched it once. That's not him. He doesn't do. He can kick my butt at sports. He does not do cooking.
Doesn't cook. No kidding.
My younger brother-in-law cooks. This is my older brother-in-law.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, when I say cooks, grills.
Wife's brothers.
Yes, these are my wife's
okay,
brothers.
I'm just trying to connect the dots here.
Yeah. So it didn't get used. So when we moved back to the state, it was still sitting there.
Yeah.
And they were like, I was like, "What you doing with your grill?" He's like, "You want it? You can have it." So it's this tiny little charbroil that is kind of rickety.
Yeah.
Got a new propane tank for it. So I'm not doing the ribs on that.
Gotcha.
My father-in-law has a nice big. I mean, it's kind of older now and beat up, but it's a nice big 4-burner.
Gotcha.
He's got a nice big grill.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be doing probably corn on the cob over on my grill.
Yeah.
And then do the ribs on his grill.
Nice. So what's your method? What have you discovered?
So for my research, obviously indirect heat.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to go dry rub night before.
Yeah.
And what's
in the dry rub?
Real basic dry rub. I saw. So this is one of the things I wanted to ask. You had a good recipe. I just saw a very basic one: cumin, chili powder, paprika, salt, pepper.
If you can go with a smoked paprika, if you've got that,
I've got smoked peppercorns, and I've got applewood smoked salt.
No, don't roll with those. Don't roll with those. Paprika, like you have paprika, right?
Well, I'm going to get some.
Okay. If you could find smoked paprika, go with the smoked paprika.
Okay.
I do a basic rub on mine. Smoked paprika, a little bit of chili powder, Like talking, you know, if you're doing a tablespoon of paprika, throw in maybe a half a teaspoon of chili powder, because you don't want it too hot. You don't want to scare Mama, because it's Mama's Day. Don't scare them. I like to do a little bit more pepper. I love pepper, fresh cracked peppercorn. So if you got those, do that. And then salt. Got to have some salt. Do small salt.
Oh,
not coarse salt, because it won't melt.
Okay.
It won't melt properly.
So then, my applewood smoked salt is coarse.
Yeah. It might do fine. You might be able to crush it smaller, but yeah. And then the other thing, do you tend towards the sweet or to the savory? And are you planning on saucing?
I am planning on saucing.
Okay.
And without violating your
No.
We just went with the large jug of Sweet Baby Ray's.
No, look. That's what I'm talking about. It's
okay,
fine.
all right.
It's fine.
So that's going to be the sauce afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine.
I got to have the sauce.
Okay, so with that, in that case, I'd say go with some brown sugar as well.
Okay.
In that rub, probably half brown sugar into that rub.
Half of the rub.
Half of the rub be brown sugar. Yep. And then while you are cooking them, okay. So you're going to want to cook somewhere between 250 and 300, right? If you push it higher than that, which I know you've got time constraints because it's church and stuff. If you push it 300 to 350, it'll cook definitely faster, but you may have issues with the connecting tissue, and it may not soften up the meat.
Okay, so 250 to 300 at the max.
Yeah, on my smokers, I like to roll 225 to 250 to 275 at most. But
the good news is with my father-in-law's grill, it's got the thermostat in the grill, so
nice.
you can see grill temperature without checking. Having
that's
to open
awesome.
the lid.
Yeah, don't open that lid, because that'll kill you. And then if you can, while you're doing it, every half hour, baste with a 50-50 apple cider vinegar apple juice mix to keep that liquid on there. And if you can get a spray bottle, even better, because you just miss that meat. It's like every 30 minutes.
Every half hour.
Yep. And that apple juice, the vinegar will kind of cut it a little bit, but the juice will add a sweetness to it. And you'll end up with that juice, that apple juice flavor.
Okay. And I'm obviously doing indirect heat.
Yeah.
It's a big 4-burner grill. I'm going to heat it up, two on, ribs over the side. I'm probably going to have to get a rib rack. There's 14 people, like I said, so I've got 6 racks of ribs.
If you can get away with it. Get a little bit of either oak or applewood.
Applewood's probably
good. Chips from Menards or whatever your box store is there. And put it in some foil and just set it over the heat.
Any water on it?
No.
Any moisture?
No. Don't moisture it.
Okay.
If it burns, it burns. It's supposed to burn. Otherwise, you're just steaming your meat.
True.
You don't want to steam your meat. Bad idea. But yeah, no. Because you want that indirect heat, you want that smoke, and so that's a good way on a heathen grill in order to get that smoky flavor.
Yes. Yes.
But it'll probably end up taking you, if you're going 350, it'll probably be 2.5 hours. If you're going
a little less than
250, 225 to 250, don't plan on taking it off till it's. Don't plan on taking it off for about 5 hours, maybe even 6.
250.
Yeah, and I don't. So here's another thing. You're gonna have folks out there telling you to wrap your ribs after 2 hours.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
I don't wrap my ribs. I leave them straight on the smoker. Wrapping ribs, it smokes a little bit faster, but I don't think the flavor's as good when you wrap them, because they kind of steam in the foil. Yeah, and I just don't like that.
Now, at what point? Because I like a good kind of crispy caramelized the sauce on the outside.
Right.
So at what point do you put the sauce on?
So what I
do
know,
multiple
what I do,
applications.
Yeah.
Do you ever expose them to some direct heat right at the end to crisp up that sauce on the edge?
no, I never do.
Okay.
I never do because it's dry. Because the heat's dry, it'll suck the moisture out of that sauce.
Okay.
So, like, open up the grill when you think you're close. So what you're going to see is you're going to see if you look at my fingers here, if you see the meat, look at the meat when you first start cooking them, it's going to actually pull back, and you're going to see about half inch of bone on the ends. That's a good sign. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to lift up one of those racks of ribs with like a set of tongs and see that it bends, and the meat's going to get flaky. And you're just going to see that. You're going to see it kind of bend at like it's probably going to be like a 45-degree angle, right?
I'm probably going to have to cut them in half or something to get them in the rib rack and get them in.
You may have to, yeah. I normally just do them up on side. If I'm doing a small grill, I'll set them up on side. I've even cooked ribs. I know it's sacrilege to some people. I've done them on top of each other because I've just had to.
Yeah.
Kind of just laid them over on each other. But yeah, if you get a rib rack though, even the ends will hang out the ends, but it'll be fine. You'll be okay. But yeah, no, it should go pretty well. But yeah, make sure it's done. Obviously it'll be done temp wise, but you got to cook it past that because you got to get those fibers to break down. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a tough rib. Yeah, and everyone's going to stare at you like, Jeff, you're not hosting Mother's Day ever again.
Which actually may be a treat. We have this great house. We love hosting people, but we do tend to host the holidays. And
I understand. I understand.
No, we love it. We've got a big yard. We've got the trouble is the weather's gonna be bad again.
Is it really?
Here. I can't. Yeah, we're like a month off in Michigan, so like
we are too.
All the whole April showers bring May flowers. It's more like been snow in April, so the April showers are in May. Maybe we'll see flowers in June.
Right, right.
So it's been
terrible.
I got the lawn mowed finally today before we did the show, so we got that done.
That's one of the things that I wasn't able to do today. We talked about this last night. I was like, I need to mow. We didn't end up mowing. We ended up going to Hobby Lobby instead, which
is always dangerous. Always. But yeah, no, the rib thing. So definitely we'll take that advice.
And pictures, Jeff. Pictures, Jeff. I need pictures of the ribs.
I will get you pictures if they're successful.
Hey,
how about that?
Can you provide the Front Porch family with a video of you cooking ribs?
We'll see.
Like even if you send me the raw footage of you, a couple different times, I will splice it together for you, and we'll produce a video. Front Porch cooking with Jeff.
Maybe. Remember though, we got to protect my identity to protect.
Oh, that's a good
not
point.
So innocent.
Good point. So maybe if we just show you from the chin down.
Ooh, you don't want to see that.
Dad bod alert. Dad bod alert.
All right. No, but yeah, so that sounds good. So the apple cider vinegar and apple juice spritz, that's a tip I hadn't seen yet.
Yeah,
and
I'm
definitely going to try to get some
of
applewood chips.
That's kind of my secret specialty.
No, it's out there, man. Everyone knows.
But see, I'm okay with that because eating is an experience, not a competition.
Well, this is going to be an experience, and hopefully it goes well.
I'm pulling for you, man. I'm excited.
14 judges.
Ooh. And honestly, mother-in-laws are the biggest critics.
It's true.
My Jeff. My friend Jeff. We have an update.
Don't call me your Jeff. The music, this whole episode's getting We Need Tombstone back because things are getting weird.
They are, aren't they? Jeff, we have an update from England. the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex gave birth to their firstborn son, Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor.
That's if you just stopped at Archie Harrison, it sounds like somebody from like a 90s sitcom.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it?
That's what I thought of. So run me by that name again. Is it not Archibald?
No. This is Archie with an IE.
Okay.
Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. Now, I did a little bit of research this week because I was like, what in the world? Why? What's with this Mountbatten thing?
Family names, yeah.
So Windsor is the name of the queen, right? The House of Windsor.
Yeah.
But apparently Philip got a little antsy and was like, the queen acquiesced and gave him Mountbatten Windsor.
So Mountbatten Windsor is a hyphenated last name.
Mountbatten is his last name. Is the king,
gotcha.
Or not the king?
No, Prince.
What do they call him? Is he the prince? Prince Philip? Yeah. Is Prince Philip's maiden name?
It is weird how all that works.
No, like so.
And you know why it's weird? Because we kicked it out a long time ago.
I'm just saying, back-to-back world wars, and we're still saving their tails. Anyway, so they have their kid.
You're obsessing over them.
No. So a listener this week, thank you, Joel. Joel sent us an article.
Which, should we explore sometime? Joel may be Florida man.
Joel is Florida man.
Because he does live in Florida.
He does. So Joel sent us an article or a meme, I guess it was, asking the question, could Archie, little baby Archie, be the first king of England and president of the United States? And of course, at first I was like, that's hilarious. No, not a chance. Couldn't happen. And then I started thinking, back in the 80s, we have a documentary called King Ralph that documents the possibility. You've apparently never seen it.
No.
It's not a documentary. It's a John Goodman movie. And I don't even remember. You might not want to watch it. I can't remember it that well. For all I know, it could be a terrible movie. But no, John Goodman, they find out that he's like the only line because of a tragic accident at a wedding ceremony where the entire royal family got electrocuted. And he is the last in line. John Goodman.
That sounds like a John Goodman.
He's either Atlantic City or Las Vegas showman. And he ends up as King of England. King Ralph.
1991.
Oh, 91. Okay, so not the 80s. Documentary from the 90s, which basically. 80s and 90s basically same thing. So the question is, could Archie be both King of England and President of the United States? Jeff, he could possibly be.
No, he's a dual citizen, obviously.
He is a dual citizen. His mother did not renounce her American citizenship, which I thought she was supposed to do.
Because is that like a rule for the royal family or something?
No, so apparently, if she declares her royal citizenship, or if she does not declare her, if she did not, supposedly, this is an article that I read back in the day, back a couple years ago, if she did not renounce her citizenship, the royal family would have to give financial information to the American government.
Which would be epic.
Which would be incredibly epic. Absolutely. But apparently, as of right now, she has not renounced her citizenship. And so
forget Trump's tax returns. I want to see the Queen's tax returns.
So here's the interesting thing. Like, she may be married to royalty, but she's still as husband to Harry. Yeah. That's his name, right? Harry. Mm-hmm. He has to pay, or she has to pay American taxes because America is one of the few countries that taxes people on citizenship, not residency.
Now, how ironic is that? Okay.
I know.
We started a war with them over taxes, And now she marries into their royal family and still has to pay
And she
our
has to pay taxes. So the royal family is paying
irony.
taxes to the United States.
That is just, I don't know.
Irony or poetic justice?
Epic, whichever way.
Yeah,
it's insane. Like, dig up Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and be like, hey, guys, guess what?
Yeah.
I bet they wouldn't believe it.
So if you make more than $12,000 in income, you have to declare. It's a very interesting thing. I mean, this is all U.S. law. So technically, any gifts, if the Queen gave the child any cash, it has to be reported to the IRS if it's worth more than $100,000, which, you know. Oh, so here's the other interesting thing. Archie doesn't have a royal title. They did not give him a royal title.
So
like,
he's not a...
Normally they give like Duke or you know, Earl. I guess he could be an Earl. He could be Earl Archie.
Yeah.
They normally give a royal title, but they opted not to get one for him. Or not to take one for him. And the theory is that he's so far down the line of succession now, it doesn't even matter. Because you've got Charles, who will never become king. The Queen will never allow Charles to become king. In fact, she may even, you know, wipe him out before he gets the chance.
I think she's just going to outlive him.
She may.
Personally.
He's 80, man.
She's going to outlive us all.
I'm pretty sure Charles is like 80 years old now.
Yeah, but how old is she? I mean, think of, there's somewhere I've seen the picture of her with how many different presidents.
How old is the Queen of England?
I don't know the number of time, but the number of presidents that are dead that she's been pictured with. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes back to like Carter and Reagan.
Okay, so Queen Elizabeth is 93 years old. Elizabeth is the sixth longest reigning monarch.
Yeah,
of all
she's gonna outlive us all.
So she's probably going to outlive you and I. I'd love to know Charles, Prince of Wales. So Charles is the next heir apparent, right? And he is 70 years old, not 79. I thought he was older than he is.
He's that much younger than her?
What? He's 70. He's 70.
Yeah, she's 90.
She's 90.
Okay.
20 years. That sounds about right, Jeff.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
20 years.
Yeah.
20 years is fine.
Sorry, I wandered off trying to read this about nationality and citizenship,
that's fine.
and I thought you're talking about her husband, not her son.
No. Right. Gotcha. That makes sense. So his kids, obviously, Harry and William. William is the next in line, and then William's kids are next in line after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it goes Harry, and then it goes to Harry's kids.
I don't know. And I don't care. And once again, I'm grateful to a few good men for fighting a war so I don't have to care.
Now, look, I understand. I understand your point. It's fascinating, though. It's fascinating.
I just don't understand. I guess it's tradition.
It's figureheadship. You know, they've got figureheads.
How much money is it costing them to have figureheads?
I don't know. I mean, so that begs the question, I guess.
I think
Jeff.
we've gone down this road before.
We've briefly touched it before, but it's like I have to wonder how much is to the English people, to the British citizen. Does it matter that much? I think it does. They have no ruling power.
I won't claim to know what they're thinking or why they care. Like I'm just not going to I'm not going to claim to have any
that's
inkling,
fine.
let alone be an expert on British society.
Understood. It's a fascinating thing. So he has until the age of 16 to decide what he would like to do.
Meaning declare his nationality.
He could remain a British citizen and not have to worry about it. Or he could be an American citizen as well. He could be dual or one or the other.
Okay.
And so dual citizenship, could be somewhat inconvenient for him if he decides to go that route, or he could, do the other. Could just it'll be interesting.
I would say there's no way, but then again, we have a reality TV star as president currently, and we have just like total insanity lining up to be president, like 22 of them currently. So I don't know. Who knows?
What if he became president one day?
There may not be a country left for him to be president. By the time he's old enough. That's my current analysis. So
you may be right, Jeff. You may be right. Interesting thing to think about, though. But I'm telling you, King Ralph, he set the precedent for the president.
I will have to check that out.
Oh, well, it's really quite funny. I was in bed sleeping at 2 o'clock this morning. My wife comes in and says, oh, the shop's been, someone ran into the shop. And I said, oh, what? So I jumped out of bed and all I had was my undies on, and I've walked out the front and I've seen the car smashed, and I've seen the bloke walking back to the car. Oh, well, I tried stopping him and say, hey, mate, don't be taking off. Like, you've just crashed into the shop. Oh, he goes, oh, mate, I fell asleep behind the wheel. And I'm like, yeah, righto, mate. Well, you still don't be fleeing the scene. And he goes, don't be a hero, mate. I wasn't trying to be a hero. I was just chasing him down the street. And
you ran down the street in your jocks?
Yeah, in my undies. Yeah, correct. Chased him down the street in my undies, and then he started getting too far. And I'm like, oh, well, I better catch up to him quicker and come back home and drop my car. And started chasing him up the street in my little purple car.
You know, all good superheroes wear their jocks on the outside, so it kind of fits the brief. Yeah. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, but I had nothing on bar me jocks.
Australia man strikes again.
It's such a good intro. I finally saw the video of it the other day, and that guy is even more interesting looking.
Isn't it? Jeff,
what is it with people in Australia and falling asleep at the wheel, so to speak?
I think so. Here's my theory, Jeff. Mm-hmm. My theory is they're at the bottom of the world, and so they're upside down, so all the blood is rushing to their heads.
No, that can't be right, because the world's actually flat.
Good point. Never mind.
So they're not on the bottom.
My theory is smashed.
Because they would be upside down if the world wasn't flat.
You have a point.
And they're clearly not upside down.
That's right. That's true. Good point. Thank you.
Checkmate.
Thank you.
Speaking of queens.
The ice wall, yeah.
Queens and bishops and pawns. Checkmate. No, but so we have this story. I think I found it, actually. Sent it to you out of the New York Post. And we've talked about different aviation-related things. It's an interest to us. I think we've talked about the fact that you have a plane rotting away in a hangar somewhere.
Yeah, I do.
And that I've provided some instruction for you at different times.
You were my flight instructor for a while there.
And that I've done instruction for many years over many different places. And so this was an interesting article to me. There's a student pilot. This is out of the New York Post on May 10th. A student pilot flew unconscious for 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Good grief.
On a solo. Not like with because there's times I've wondered as an instructor, if my student pilot over there is unconscious because they're just not doing anything I'm telling them to do.
Let me ask you this question.
But this is solo.
Let me ask you this question, Jeff. In Australia, so in the United States, we have uncontrolled airspace, where basically we can fly wherever we want, whenever we want. Doesn't matter in the uncontrolled airspace.
Well,
correct, like class C. Right.
Well, Class C is definitely controlled.
Or not Class C. Oh,
I didn't teach you that part.
No, didn't.
No. We actually, most of the airspace in the U.S. is controlled.
But you don't have to fly with a. You don't have to fly with a flight
because there's a
plan,
difference between whether it's controlled airspace or not,
right,
and whether there's someone there to actually talk to.
So I was misspeaking on that.
So it's the technical use of the term versus what you're trying to explain to people, which is there's a significant chunk of airspace in the United States where you can fly without talking to someone.
Yes. But like Europe, you can't fly anywhere without talking to someone.
Yeah. In general, if you're not within about 10 miles of a kind of busy airport, if you're not near one of the major airports in the U.S. and you're below 10,000 feet, you don't necessarily, or actually really below 18,000 feet, you really don't have to be talking
right
to someone. in the East Coast, there's a lot of airspace where you can and where you should, but you don't necessarily have to in some places.
But like Europe, you can't fly anywhere without talking to people. They have to have a flight plan for everything. I think that's true. I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs of the European. I guess I'm curious about Australia, whether Australia has that same policy.
I would feel they would follow a similar as some of the European models, but I don't know enough about it. Now, from the article, he was in touch with air traffic control during this flight.
Gotcha.
Which, I don't know. If your student pilot's going on a solo without at least getting flight following there, I mean, crazy. Come on, just do it. It's a safety thing. But anyway, it's funny because we have all these acronyms.
No comment. I've never gotten flight following, Jeff.
I mean, trust me, I've gone on flights and not gotten it too, because there's times you just want to buzz around in a small airplane or whatever. But
understood.
Going out on a solo, I like that someone else is watching them.
I hear you
as an instructor.
So one of my issues in Vermont was there's some places, especially when you were flying low through the mountains or over the mountains, where there was no way for them to talk to you.
Yes, and so they'll radar contact lost, or they can't reach you by radio, so they'll just end your flight following and then your pure VFR. So that does happen. But we have tons of acronyms in aviation. Okay, and what's one of the for pre-flight planning, for checking the pilot's readiness for flight. Do you remember an acronym that you were ever taught?
I don't remember an acronym.
You don't remember an acronym? No, I didn't. No. Again, I didn't. You
didn't do my ground school or anything, so.
The acronym that gets used a lot is "I'm safe." Yeah, you've got to have heard that.
No, I haven't.
Really? Okay.
No.
So I'm safe. They illness, medication. Okay. This is where things get kind of illness, medication, sleep gets thrown in for the S a lot of time. Well, but see, then you've got fatigue. So they really kind of it can get twisted a couple different ways.
Right.
Illness, medication, stress. You've got I'm trying to remember now, alcohol, fatigue, and emotion or eating.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So I put emotion in with stress and then do eating for the E. So mine is illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, eating.
Gotcha.
This is the way I taught it. And there's a couple different ways it can be taught. And
I learned those same ones without the acronym, but yeah.
Okay, absolutely. And then I throw emotion in with stress, and obviously sleep goes with fatigue. So
basically, if you have any of those issues,
those are the areas. Those are basically like the areas you check yourself for. Am I sick? Am I stressed out? Am I on medications? I shouldn't be flying, 8 hours bottle throttle, at least at a minimum. Other places have even longer. All these things. Well, this kid apparently hadn't heard this acronym.
Or just didn't care.
Now, were you nervous before your solo?
No.
Your first solo?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was a little nervous, but I also remember enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, the first time you go up in your own, in the airplane by yourself, it's kind of crazy.
Did you get the oh crap, I actually have to land this thing feeling when it lifted off? You're like, this is so cool, and then oh crap, I have to put this back down.
Had 50 or 60 landings when I take that back. I probably had over 100 landings when I did my first solo. And that's because Mr. Pete took me up, aviation mentor of mine, took me up, and we went over to Fort Ticonderoga, and we did, I don't even know what he called it. It was landing training, where we did 30 landings back to back.
Yeah, back, knocking them out.
Where we weren't even in the pattern. We weren't doing anything. We weren't doing any pattern work. This is I understand this is going to be a little scary, Jeff. This is Vermont flight training here. We weren't in the pattern. We weren't doing anything. We were taking off and going up, doing a teardrop, coming back in, and landing.
Yeah. So when I was doing tail dragger training in a Piper Cub on a cold day at a non-powered field, we would do that. We actually would to practice the touching it down, because it's a little bit different technique doing wheel landing versus a 3-point landing and stuff like that. We would actually do that. We'd go out, teardrop around, come back, and we would touch down 3 times.
Yeah.
on the runway in one pass and then come back to get the practice of touching down in that tail dragger. So I've done something similar.
So we were doing that. We were doing that untowered field. You know, it's 5,000 something feet long, plenty of room, and so I would land the airplane, let go. He took back control. He'd take off, go back around, set me up for landing. And so we probably did that 30 times in one day so that we knew the flare. So, no, I wasn't stressed at all. It was like, you were nervous. This is sweet.
Even your cross country? Even your first solo cross country?
No. Well, so I had a great airport on my first cross country, Jeff. I had an airport where you're coming in and the hill is about 10 feet below you.
But that's on your solo cross country?
On my solo cross country, I did not know it. I did not know it when I planned it.
That's poor planning.
My flight instructor saw it and goes, "This is a fun airport. You're going to have fun with it." And he said, "You have enough training, landing and everything. You're going to do fine." And
that's good.
And so as you come in for the landing, you're coming in and you swing around
over a hill,
and the trees are cut out. And so your wings are like at treetop level as you're coming down into this airport.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
It's so cool.
That's
such a
cool experience. Not a place I would necessarily send someone on a solo without having seen it before. But you obviously weren't nervous. Now, I can understand if this guy was nervous, to get back to our story here.
Yes.
Before his first solo cross country. Well, I guess it doesn't necessarily say that it was his
doesn't
first.
Really
it just says a solo navigation flight.
Yeah.
They call it. So he takes off out of Port Augusta en route to Parafield. And again, I don't know Australia, so I don't know where these are. But he said to their ATSB, Australian Transportation Safety Board, which is similar to our NTSB, which investigates these kind of things, that he hadn't slept much the night before. So, okay, I mean, a little nervous. Okay. That's fatigue on the list.
Right.
He suffered a headache during the flight, which that happens. If you got a headset on, it's clamped on your head, it's noisy, you didn't sleep much the night before. So that kind of happens. So I don't know about illness, but you've got another stressing factor now with a headache, okay? So you put the aircraft on autopilot, so good resource management. However, he also did not eat any breakfast that morning before flying.
Okay.
So you've got eating on the checklist. He consumed a bottle of Gatorade, some water, and a chocolate bar.
That doesn't sound like a balanced diet.
No. So about 40 minutes after he takes off with this headache, he throws the autopilot on. All of a sudden, air traffic control is trying to get a hold of him. They can't get a hold of him.
Gotcha.
So now what ATC does a lot of times, if they can't get a hold of you, maybe you're in a spot where the radios aren't working, so that will call another airplane that's in the air and say, hey, try to get a hold of this airplane.
Right.
Because you might have a better range being up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
So they try that. Eventually, another airplane gets a hold of him, and apparently he had been unconscious.
Oh, man.
And so 40 minutes. That's a long time. I mean, thankful for the autopilot, but, because it kept him on a heading, at an altitude, didn't hit anything. But 40 minutes unconscious. And again, he says that so the restless night before, and he was recovering from a mild cold. So he didn't eat. He's recovering from a cold. He has a headache, and he didn't sleep. Not a good combination for flying. So as a lesson in decision-making, we've probably dragged this out way too long. As a lesson in decision-making, not a lot of good decision-making here going on. Please don't fly.
But doesn't that apply to all aspects of life, though, Jeff? Driving? Like, I'm wondering if as a society, if we don't take enough time to evaluate ourselves before we do something.
Oh, we don't, and we always think we can do a little more, right? Like, we always think we're invincible. Like, I prefer to drive through the night when we do long trips because less people, less stops, that kind of stuff. And we're like, I can do it. 5-hour energy, and I'm good to go.
Do those work for you?
Not for 5 hours.
Those don't work for me at all.
They give me a little boost, but singing.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to admit it here.
You know what? Screaming out the words to "Faithfully" by Journey just gets me going, Jeff.
See, I was gonna say, you may or may not, if you're driving down the road at like 2 a.m. and seem to see a 30-year-old male singing in sync with a Taylor Swift song.
But which, by the way,
be me trying to stay awake.
In case our audience is curious, she's back on Spotify. Not that I would know that or anything.
See. In my defense, I didn't know she was off Spotify.
Yeah, she took her albums off Spotify, so it's back on. It's back on. So
somehow my wife has them all, so they must be on Spotify.
Of course, like if anyone from our audience is wondering, now they know because I'm not admitting anything.
Just shake it off, Aaron. Shake it off.
Shake it off. We're never getting back together, Jeff.
Unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs.
She got them realtor eyes.
We're going to flip this seat red in November.
I can always tell by realtor eyes. She got them.
I think she's living in banana land.
I am not the expert on geopolitics.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
How are you the boss for coming up with a plan that doesn't work?
Is it okay to still have children?
I personally believe some people out there in our nation don't have that, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and the Iraq, everywhere like such as, and
Jeff, she's the gift that keeps on giving.
Okay, 2 things. Realtor eyes. I love that. She's got them realtor eyes.
Thank you, Roseanne Barr.
You would expect that last clip to be from the movie Miss Congeniality.
You would.
But no.
No, it really happened.
It really happened. And I just don't even know what to do with all that.
Miss South Carolina, Jeff, there's a reason why you and I left.
I begin to understand Tombstone much more now.
Aren't you? Jeff, there was shock over a garden this week, and there was shock over a garbage disposal. Which one do you want to hear first, Jeff?
I'm confused about the shock over a garden. So,
the garden. Did I not send that one to you?
Well, I think I know what you're referring to.
So let's go to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as she talks about her community garden. Here we are.
Oh my God, you guys. I just checked on my community garden slot and I was so nervous because I was in New York for 2 weeks in recess. Look. Oh my God, look at this. Look at the collard greens. They're huge.
As she points to them.
Oh my God! I don't have to trim all of these back for smoothies.
Listen to that. I got to trim all these back for smoothies.
Shook,
not shocked. Shook.
Look, honestly, gardening, food that comes out of dirt, it's magic.
I just want to.
Died though. Let's pour one out for the tomato, but.
Pour one out for the tomato.
She's
always looking for an excuse to drink in these videos.
She's using a wine bottle to add water to the soil. So flipped upside down like in a PVC pipe.
Oh, yeah.
And so, let's pour one out for the tomatoes. Oh, man. Yep, making smoothies and... it's like magic. I gotta talk to all my farming friends around here and just remind them that it's not that hard to be a farmer. It's like magic. Not
even in New York City. It's just magic. It just comes from the dirt.
It just comes out of the dirt.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Jeff, I'm shook.
I will say, so we did a small garden several years back when we lived in South Carolina, and it is pretty impressive. Like when you see, hey, I actually did that without screwing up. We did some cucumbers that I was going to try to make in pickles, but we never got enough of them at the same time to bother pickling them. We did some strawberries. We did some lettuce, some leaf lettuce. So we did a few things like that. We did a watermelon vine and got one tiny baby watermelon.
Yeah, but
from
that's
it.
still fun.
That was pretty cool.
That's still fun.
So it's a lot of fun. But there is definitely that sense of pride of this is cool. I pulled this off. I don't know that I was ever so shook that I had to, and like our corn didn't grow because the spot was too shady that we put it in. It didn't get enough direct sun. I didn't pour one out for the corn that we planted. But now let me pose this question.
As the front porch resident hippie, I think gardening is amazing. Like props to her for actually growing stuff, but
yes,
she's not making a difference here with what she's growing.
So
she's not growing all her produce.
No, she's not self-sustaining herself on her produce. Now, we can say props to her, right? She's apparently doing what she believes in. She's trying to be more sustainable. She's in New York City, I guess. This is her DC apartment.
This isn't her garden in DC. Her
okay, so either way,
apartment in DC.
So she's in DC. She's doing the rooftop garden thing that they encourage everybody to do. So she's living it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Do you think this almost laughable excitement?
Do I think it's genuine?
Do you think it's genuine, or do you think this is some sort of weird? She thinks this is clicks, and this somehow appeals to a certain subset.
I think it's definitely clicks. I think it's. She thought it was cool. Look, I have no doubt she thought it was cool. Okay.
Yes, but the reaction is not genuine. Like thinking it's cool is genuine. The oh my word, guys, it's magic. That part of it.
Yeah.
Like the 2-year-old, like wide-eyed. This is amazing.
But isn't that what we've been getting from her for the entire time, though? We've been getting that from her for maybe she's being just hyperbolic because everyone's like picking on her anyways, and she's like. Let's just be all funny.
Because I get there's the desire to be cutting edge and younger and appeal to the younger crowd, whatever. But she also wants to be taken seriously. She keeps claiming she's a serious figure.
Yeah.
And this is not the way to get taken serious. This is ridiculous.
Jeff, let's go inside her DC apartment now.
Wait, so we're going from the roof.
We're going from the roof.
Now we're going inside.
We're now going inside the DC apartment. Here we go.
I am told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal.
Have you heard these yet?
I've never had one in any place I've ever lived.
Sadly, yes.
It is terrifying. I don't know what to use it for or what its purpose is. Like food scraps? Like, is this environmentally sound? I don't know.
So, like, if this is environmentally sound, it could be like a really great place to put my policy proposals.
Oh,
I don't.
Wait.
Oh, no.
You don't. So I was gonna say when you got done with this, I was gonna say Sarah Gonzalez of The Blaze.
Yeah,
does an amazing parody video.
That's funny, yeah.
And that's what you've got there because
I inadvertently have the parody video.
The first half until it goes to the policy proposals line.
Yes.
That was real for our listeners out there who haven't seen this week. That was not parody. That was real.
No, that was
until
real.
If this is for garbage, then my policy proposals go in here. Up until that line, it was real. Okay, there's two possible.
That's hilarious.
Two possible outcomes here. All right, she is an absolute flipping ignorant moron, or she is totally and completely, for some inexplicable reason, faking this.
Do you have a garbage disposal?
We do not.
I don't either.
We are on a septic field.
I've never had a garbage disposal.
And we grew up without one. We didn't have one in our house. We just didn't have one. It wasn't that we were on city sewer. It was fine, but we just didn't have one. So if this is some attempt to reach out to middle America, because there's probably a wide swath of people across the United States that don't have a garbage disposal.
But it's like a garbage disposal isn't a rich person's thing, though. Like,
no,
I don't have one, but it's by choice.
Exactly. That's my point. Is most people that don't have one either the apartment just didn't have one, and I'm not going to pay to put one in the apartment.
Right.
Now,
right,
that's
right,
actually
right.
where I did have one, was when I rented an apartment that had one. Or they live on a septic field, and that's why they don't have one, because it's not good to be putting all those food scraps down into your septic field. That's been the situation in 2 places that I've lived.
Right.
Or, you know, they, like I said, just don't feel like installing it or something like that. Most people, and all those people that don't have one for whatever reason, know what it is.
Yeah.
They aren't sitting there going, oh my word, like, what do you even use this for? What is this thing? I'm told it's called a garbage disposal. So what do you think? Again, this is where we need Tombstone. What do you think the possible benefit she gains from feigning this stupidity is?
I'm just wondering if she actually had a garbage disposal in the Westchester house she grew up in. I mean the Bronx house she grew up in.
Oops. I just, there are some things that I understand the posturing. There are some things where I understand poor mouthing or something, you know, to make it sound like you had a rougher childhood, to, you know, to appeal to, I understand some things to appeal to portions of your base. I really don't understand what she seeks to gain from acting like she has no clue. And she's not even, at least as far as I can tell, she's not even doing it to turn around and mock the people that think she's dumb. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not like she says, haha, this is what the Republicans think of me, so I'm going to mock them. It's not even skillfully done that way. So I don't know what's going on here.
So just to clear my reference there that I made to Westchester, her dad bought a house in Yorktown Heights, New York, in 1991 when she was about 2, and school records show that she attended school in Yorktown.
Yeah, she didn't spend as much of her life in the poor areas that she references.
So claiming that she was from the Bronx is baloney. Unless they were commuting 40 minutes every day.
She started out there, but it's not like she lived there her whole childhood.
She may have been born there, but yeah.
And so,
it's just funny.
But see, that game I understand. Convincing people you're one of them.
It happens all the time.
I don't exactly. I don't.
That's
I mean,
politics.
Because to be honest, the guy that she beat out doesn't even stinking live there. Like, he lives there just long enough or keeps an address there to basically say he represents the place, right? The guy that she beat out definitely wasn't from there. So to some extent, props to the people for kicking him out.
We've got a guy in Omaha who was caught up in a controversy like that. Claimed he was representing the people of North Omaha and was arguably not living there.
Which, with how much time they spend in D.C. and everywhere else.
No, well, this is a state rep.
Oh,
state
okay,
rep.
okay, yeah.
State rep. And so, no, it's just super frustrating because...
But I would like to... Okay, so here we go. Fan theories.
Yeah, okay.
Can someone please... I'll take your funny, sarcastic theories, or I'll take your legitimate theories, because one is entertaining and one is I just need to know. What are your theories on why she's doing these videos that honestly... We couldn't even mock her as good as she is. Like the parody isn't even as good as her freaking out over
it's not.
What a garbage disposal. And that's a good parody by Sarah Gonzalez, but I don't know.
Still.
So please, fans, call in, call the number, Facebook page.
402-799-1811.
There you go. Call the number or leave us a message on Facebook.
Give us
love
your
feedback on
AOC
Facebook.
thoughts.
Give me your AOC theory on why she is doing what she is doing. I do not see the purpose in this feigned, because I believe that things like this are a feigned stupidity.
You know, there's theories going around that she's a Manchurian candidate.
I mean, who knows anymore, man? Who knows?
Did you ever see the original Manchurian Candidate movie?
The original?
Yeah.
No.
Darker than the much darker than the new one with
the 90s.
Denzel Washington. Yeah,
I've seen the Denzel Washington one, and
which
honestly,
solid
that's kind
movie.
of dark.
Solid movie, dark. But I'm telling you, the original one, a lot darker, a lot more like, whoa.
Check it out. Check it out.
It was on Netflix or Amazon a while back. But anyways, it's interesting. She is an enigma. She really is.
Yes, some dumb things she says is because she's young. She's a true believer. She's got those realtor eyes, and she's all in, and she's gung ho, and she says some dumb stuff.
Sold out progressive, and I understand that.
And that dumb stuff that she says, I understand because she's sold out to her theories. But these videos, I do not understand because I believe it's intentional feigning of stupidity.
Is it any difference from Trump, though? Seriously, like Trump on Twitter, like some of the things he says. Is it much different?
Again, Donald from Queens, I feel like explains more of his Twitter tirade. He has no filter. She's faking being an idiot. I can't figure out the difference. I can't figure out why she's doing that.
Good point. I don't know.
Did you see where Biden wants to take me to the back of the barn? Me. Some things in life you could really love doing.
I don't wear a toupee. It's my hair.
I really am very smart.
I am a young, vibrant man. The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. We will make America great again.
You okay, Jeff?
Man, that's an epic one right there. It's not a toupee.
It's not a toupee. That's my real hair.
If it's a toupee, you gotta fire the guy making it because.
So
with today's technology, you got to be able to make a better toupee.
I didn't realize how many people had actually grabbed his hair and been all like up in his hair, yanking on his hair, and like he's offered. So he had two people. He had a woman in South Carolina he invited up in Greenville, by the way. Pretty sure I saw Tombstone in the crowd. Invited up to the stage to tug his hair. Another woman assessed the hairline in front and kind of brushed it back and said, yes, it's thinning, but it's definitely real hair. And then he was on Jimmy Fallon, who roughed up his hair before he headed to New Hampshire for a campaign stop.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Now you know. Now the front porch audience knows about the president's hair. It is his real hair. Jeff.
Again, it's terrible enough it's got to be real.
It really does. Because if it was fake, wouldn't it look better?
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I would sue the guy making it if it was fake. But anyway.
I agree. Absolutely agree. So Iran, Jeff. I
don't believe that you run. I really don't.
Iran. I'm slightly concerned about the saber rattling in the Middle East right now. From a foreign policy standpoint.
Is it sad that I'm almost just like immune to it because
maybe
it's just continual saber rattling in the Middle East?
So we've been in continuous war since 2001. The U.S. has been in continuous war since 2001.
There are kids that will vote in this election
who have never seen no war.
No, when we're not at war.
Right. So the USS Arlington, the aircraft carrier, the U.S. aircraft carrier, was doing missions in the Mediterranean when they actually sent it through the Suez Canal down into the Red Sea, and they're sending it around Saudi Arabia up into the Persian Gulf again.
Basically saying we're here and
sign a force. Now the U.S. government is saying that the Iranians are making some hostile. Are doing some hostile buildup, I guess. Heightened readiness, they say.
Aren't they?
But when aren't we, Jeff? When aren't we? I come back to the whole world police thing. It's a little bit disturbing. And
yes.
by the way, I was wrong on that. The USS Arlington is a transport ship, missile and transport ship. It's the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group. So I apologize for that. Yeah. So so they were sent to send a quote unmistakable message, in the words of National Security Advisor John "I'm a Warhawk" Bolton.
John Bolton is definitely a warhawk. There is no doubt about that.
I'm just a little bit concerned with it being this close to the next election, with the war, with the saber rattling. What is the easiest way to win the next election, Jeff? We've talked about this on the show before.
See, I don't know that is the easiest way to win the next election right now, though.
It's hard to lose when you're at war.
But here's so I don't have the stats in front of me, but through other venues and ways I take in information over the last several months. The fact is that when the economy's doing well, basically the Democrats can't take power. They don't win the presidency unless there's some sort of crisis going on. Some sort of economic downturn, some sort of big economic crisis happening. So the economy has got to be Trump's go-to on this. So I don't know that saber rattling gets him anything. As a matter of fact, some of the weird coalition he built on wanting to get out of some of these military conflicts.
Yes, but if Iran is imminent danger, it concerns me a little bit. And
it is concerning because we do not need to get in another.
And look, I'm not saying that Iran isn't an issue. I think Iran is an issue. Iran has been an issue. They are extremely disturbing. Okay, the question is, are they a threat to us and
Correct.
our interests?
Because unless they're a direct, credible threat, I'd say leave them alone, let them be stupid. And then the minute they do become a direct, credible threat, smash them and then walk away.
So
crush the threat, walk away. This nation building in areas of the world that are not socially capable, they're not culturally capable. It's not their culture to follow Western civilization, Western democracy, Western self-governance. The people have to be capable of that.
So basically what you're saying, and I can't believe we're going to get into this. Basically what you're saying is some people can't really handle the freedom.
Correct. And again, our own founders said that, right? For our form of government to work, there has to be a moral people with a moral philosophy. Because again, what is our government founded on? What is the foundational
ultimately
document?
Judeo-Christian principles.
Okay, so what is the foundational document of our government?
Magna Carta? I mean, is that where you're going with this?
No, it's not the Constitution. It's not the Magna Carta. The foundational document, which is kind of along the lines of what you said, Judeo-Christian values, is the Declaration of Independence.
Okay.
Our country is founded on an idea.
I wasn't sure how far back you wanted to go, Jeff.
Well, okay, but too many people
English common law.
But even there, the Declaration of Independence is the foundational document because we are founded on an idea, not a man, not a bloodline, not a style of government. The style of government could change in some ways, and we have changed it over the years. The idea is all are created equal. The individual matters over the collective.
And we're not a tribe.
And the individual has worth. And we are not an ethnic tribe. We are an idea.
A melting pot of idea.
And if you don't have moral people that can accept that idea, that's why we're crumbling now, and that's why they can't even get started in some of these areas of the world, because there's an entire worldview you have to accept that individuals have worth, that each individual has worth. even apart from whatever collective group you want to assign them to, and that everyone's worth is equal, and that they all deserve their rights recognized. You can't do that in some of these theocracies and some of these oligarchies and these dictatorships, these warlord type mentalities. You can't do it over there.
So, if maybe this is a weird thought on my part, and I just had this. Correct me if I'm wrong on saying this. I believe that individualism is a great thing for government. But when it comes to living our daily lives, I am a big fan of quote unquote tribalism in a way.
Okay.
Community building with others.
But you can only
As I said, I'm
wrong.
I'm going out on a limb here as I say that.
I don't think you can build that type of sense of community that you're talking about without the emphasis on the individualism.
I would agree with you.
Because when every individual is the individual themselves and has the same equal right as every other individual, that's when they can go out and exchange in the market of ideas in the community, and they can be part of this community. When you are throwing people into labels, into groups,
caste systems and hierarchies.
When you're part of this oppressed group or that oppressed group. And I'm not saying we don't recognize oppression when it happens. Okay,
right. Oppression should not happen in the United States. That's what we're founded upon.
When I see my neighbor as their race or their party they're voting in or social class, they're your neighbor, so they're probably in a similar social class. But when I see them that way, and I don't see them as them, that's what breaks up. That's what creates the bad kind of tribalism.
Well, it's the whole
true term tribalism,
identity politics
that you're talking about.
Identity politics. And that's why I'm saying that individualism, when it comes to government, yes, but when it comes to community and when it comes to our individual lives,
okay. But but this isn't necessarily even governance. Another interesting thing that got brought to my attention this week. Think of. Everyone talks about the sad state that we're in with this tribalism, with the identity of politics, with no one can get along. And it's crazy that we've gone here off Iran.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is the front porch. This is what happens.
Yeah, this is what happens. Stream of consciousness, Jeff. Stream of lucid consciousness, unlike the stream of consciousness over at InfoWars. Anyways.
I don't know that we always claim to be lucid, but we have InfoWars beat. We at least have that beat. So, 10 years ago, you couldn't see. You probably had friends, people in your life, relatives, whatever, that were more liberal, less liberal, whatever. But everyone's ideas were kind of more long thought out because it took a while for the news to process and percolate. And then you had to overcome the hump of actually wanting to talk about that. And by the time the issue, whatever it was, percolated to we're sitting around watching Sunday Night Football and someone actually bothers to bring up this topic in your face-to-face doing it, everybody's tempered their opinions on it enough that, okay, we disagree here and there. We come to consensus, okay? Now, with the advent of social media, when some crazy news source goes out there and says that abortion on demand now, we must have it.
Right. Or the mayor or the governor of Virginia.
Yeah, or the governor of Virginia says that, or this guy in Philadelphia doing his nonsense out
Rogers
here.
Rogers in Alabama.
People may or may not agree with, I'm more pro-Planned Parenthood, I'm more pro-choice. You didn't necessarily know what they supported and what they didn't. Now you can see that neighbor, that friend, that relative click like or share.
Right.
Okay. And then the same thing, they can see us share when we're saying abortion is murder or AOC is a nut job, okay? And so some of these things that we used to process before and we think it's funny and we actually kind of agree with it or agree with most of it, we took that, we internalized it. By the time we were having a conversation with somebody on the other side, a lot of that was tempered. Now I can see that you like that. You can see that I like this. I shared this. You shared that. You can see. You have a window essentially into the mind, the soul of the other people.
Yeah.
And so instantly, never mind. You're on the other side. I hate you, and I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
that this social media is actually where we can't put the genie back in the bottle. And again, we've kind of drifted off the topic here, but that's where the individualism and the building the community, you've got to see. We see what someone likes and we throw them into a category versus approaching them as an individual.
Right.
And that's the problem.
But I guess that's what I'm saying. I think we have the same thoughts on it.
Yes.
I think we have the same thoughts on it, but we're coming at it from a little bit of a different perspective.
What I'm saying is that the individualism is essential in societal life for the group, the sense of community. I
don't think that to belong to a community and not be an individual is necessarily mutually exclusive. That makes sense?
Correct.
You can belong to a community
because community is not a group identity.
Yes, there you go.
I think that's what we're both getting at from outside.
Yeah.
Is community doesn't have to mean a monolithic group identity.
Yes. Right, exactly. There can still be individuals within those groups.
Correct.
And I think one of the big problems, say, over in the Middle East is you ultimately have thousands of tribes of people.
Yes.
They are tribal people. They associate as tribes. And so decisions are made as tribes. They're not made as individuals.
It in many ways is what makes Western society unique.
Yes.
Because that's even the way the Native Americans were when we got here, right?
I was going to tread on that very softly, but yes, that's true.
With no passing no judgment either way, whatever. Just saying that's what we found when we got here.
I had an interesting conversation about
more
that.
Tribal in their decision making, in their living, in their.
No, I had an interesting conversation about that with someone the other day. That I think that is what ultimately we see. I live amongst reservations. I live in a state.
I'm having reservations about where this is going.
I travel to reservations on a monthly basis to do work. And the other day I spent time in the poorest county in the United States on a reservation. And part of my thought process was, I wonder how much we as a government, as a people, ended up ruining them as a people. And I'm not saying that I guess what I'm saying is what's done has been done, okay?
Correct.
But us forcing Western culture onto a tribal people has not been very good for them.
No. But, and I'm not, many years ago, I heard someone who I respect their opinion greatly give a little insight into this. And I'm not well-versed enough on it, and I'm not going to try to wax deep or eloquent on it. But essentially, the point was made that things actually got worse for Native Americans in this country when we went to the mindset and the policy of, you keep your own little, we'll give you your own little spot of land, you keep your own little thing, and we'll shove you over here in the corner, versus when they were just assimilating into our country. When they were purely, freely assimilating into America as it is, not talking the reservations.
Yeah.
And that's a different conversation as to whether it was just that we showed up here and we just kept expanding and, it's free land, we turned it into our own country. Well, they were here first. Well, that's a different topic altogether. That's a different topic. It wasn't the happy-go-lucky necessarily that you learn in kindergarten, America just expanded west and we're great. It also wasn't Attila the Hun conquering either.
Right.
It was somewhere in between the two. But that's a different discussion. The point is, as it happened and as we expanded, had they just become and absorbed, kept their cultures, kept their customs, but also absorbed into this new country, when that was happening, they were better off than this. March them down a trail, shove them in this is better for them. Give them their own space. Again, what we see a lot with the current left of, we've got to turn you into your own little marginalized space, give you your own space. That has actually made it worse for them, was the claim that was made. And I forget all the evidence that was presented, but it made a lot of sense to me at the time. is that actually partitioning them off into groups again is worse than the assimilation of you keep your own individual customs and religions and whatever you want to keep, but become a part of our country now, I guess, versus this reservation lifestyle.
No, I agree. But so I guess
that's as far as I'm going to go.
Ultimately, applying this to the Middle East, I don't think we can go in there, give them a constitution, and expect them to turn into the United States.
No, because again, the Constitution isn't our foundational document. It's the Declaration of Independence. Unless you can get those people to sit down and declare all men are created equal, all men are endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights, that those rights are life, liberty, property / pursuit of happiness. Unless you can get them to and not sign it just because someone put a gun to their head and said sign it. But unless you can get them to make that testament, that declaration, that we recognize this worldview, it's a declaration of a worldview, and if they do not subscribe to that worldview,
it's going to be absolutely
our form of government does not work, because it will turn into a democracy, and a pure democracy in that kind of system with all those different sects just turns into, again, a dictatorship, a totalitarian.
Absolutely.
A group, a couple coalitions get made, a group gets a majority. It's a dictatorship of the majority over the minority. Eventually, one guy seizes power. His people say, stay in power. He becomes a dictator. Boom. Now, a lot of people end up hating him because he becomes a dictator, and it all rolls over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the way it goes.
Yep. It's a rough situation.
So
I think you can actually apply the same thing to Europe on a wider sense as well. They don't necessarily recognize individual rights like the United States does.
Not anymore. Anyway.
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democrat, and I love John McCain. And I also am told that Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what.
If we do everything right, we do it with absolute certainty. We stand up there and we make really tough decisions. There's still a 30% chance we're going to get it wrong. Spread your legs and you'll be frisked.
But I kid you not, he said that. He said that, Jeff.
That last one I hadn't heard.
He's standing there at an inauguration and goes, spread your legs, you're going to be frisked.
I mean, if he is the nominee, he will provide some amazing audio. But he also terrifies me. So, all right, before we go on that, I want to wrap up on the Iran stuff.
Yeah.
Because we got off on some good stuff.
It's fun,
some principled
Jeff.
stuff. You usually don't like it when I go there, but I enjoyed it. So,
it was
basically...
it was principled stuff that I enjoy, Jeff.
Okay, so it was good then.
It was good stuff.
So with Iran, I don't know what this credible threat that we supposedly have gotten from them is. I've got no problem with us kind of saying, hey, you keep it in your own borders. Don't mess with us. We got to make sure we toe that line between, like you said, egging them on and backing them down.
I think that's my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that our buildup seems like aggression to me in a way. And that concerns me a little bit.
I mean, and in a way it really is. And so the question becomes...
Who is the world power?
Everyone thinks who's the good guy, who's the bad guy.
We, of course, think that we're right.
When the good guy steps up and says, everybody just sit down and stop fighting, yes, he's showing aggression, but is it good or bad? And again,
it's a toss-up, man.
We got to be very careful that we don't set some of these people over the edge.
I think same with real life. There is a fine line between being a strong individual and enforcing justice and being a bully. And I think it's a fine line that we've got to watch. We just have to be aware of it.
And you've got to decide. Yeah, it's like when the bully is making threats on the playground, and so your big burly friend does a lap around the bully's block, and walks by his house to give him the eye. Well, he's out in his yard in his free time, you know. Is it perceived as a back off and stop your stupid threats, or is it perceived as a come over here and fight me and let's throw down?
See, I am more of the impression that we wait for the bully to strike and then we absolutely decimate him. That's just me. I'm not too keen on the whole let's intimidate.
I am fine with peace through strength.
I think reserve strength, though. I think it's
fine with saying
there's a difference.
Hey.
There's a difference when the bully sees you working out in the gym than when you walk by his house and flex on his porch in front of his sister.
True. And I don't know which this is, and because you're at times you've got to. It could be devastating if the bully gets out, right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
You've got to be saying, "Hey, you just stay there. Like I'm watching you. You don't even leave your own backyard."
But see, I think that means meeting force with force. Iran is of our own making. Iran is of our own making. We have created the issues that we are seeing in Iran right now.
Yes or no?
I think foreign policy in the 80s got us to where we are now. Just personal opinion.
I won't completely disagree. That's for sure. I don't, again, claim to be an 80s foreign policy expert.
I just think that if you continually poke the bear, I mean, you can ask John Bolton about Iran in the 80s.
Yes.
I just think constantly poking the bear, it's tell the bully to sit down and shut up.
Yeah, and that's where, and again, I would claim to be a subscriber to the just war theory. All this interventional stuff we don't need to do. Wait till they strike is a little tough for me sometimes, but you're right. Sit back, remind them, hey, it's going to hurt if you do anything stupid. And then when they finally do something stupid, smash.
Yes, absolutely.
You break the bully's nose and knock out his front teeth and leave him sitting there, and you walk away. You don't run around and flaunt it. You don't try to move into his house and coach him on his lifestyle and turn him into this new person. You just say, kick your butt, go back home, think about your life, and if you come out again, I'll do it again.
Unpopular opinion, Jeff, but I think we've been doing war wrong. I think we've been doing war wrong
for a very long time,
since World War II.
For a very long time.
I think you come in, you kick their butts, and you move on.
And there could be claims that World War I and World War II also had issues that caused other issues.
Yes.
The way we split those up. So
yes,
again, without getting way deep down that international foreign policy hole, without Tombstone, because he's probably the best of us at it. I agree with you that we need to tread lightly, but we also need to show them that if they get rowdy, they're going to get smacked.
But is sending a carrier group bigger than their military, bigger than their Navy to the Middle East? See that's where I have the questions.
There's that little part of me that's a little less libertarian that's still okay with the U.S. ruling the world seas because that's ensuring free trade for everybody. But
I hear you. No, I understand.
I'm just fully admitting that I may bend on principle there a little bit.
World police, Jeff. World police. I hear you.
But I don't like that term either. But if Iran does get rowdy, they may get smacked with one of these. They have, I guess, recently declassified this. I just thought this was interesting because you get the people that are like,
I remember hearing about this.
Like the U.S. has no regard, and we're doing these drone strikes, and you get the one people that's like precision drone strikes, and the other people that's like it kills a bunch of innocent civilians. And no matter what you think about the foreign policy stances, I do believe we're at least trying to limit civilian casualties. And they have, kind of like we talked about those what were those? The rod of God.
Yes, the tungsten rod of God.
Which is probably poised over your house at the moment.
More than likely.
But this is
all I'm going to say is it'll make an epic hole if it hits.
True.
And I won't feel a thing.
This is a Hellfire missile.
Okay.
That is not explosive.
Interesting.
So
non-lethal, right?
It is it is lethal.
Oh.
It is definitely lethal. It is not explosive. It's designed to minimize collateral damage. So it's an inert warhead that it comes down like a 100-pound rocket-propelled sledgehammer.
Okay.
Essentially. So basically, it's just supposed to land really hard, kind of like those rods. Also, it has blades that pop out of the side of it. Think of like maybe your broadhead arrows that, that expand when they go through the target.
Gotcha.
They make broadheads like that.
Yeah.
And I guess this is for hitting people like in their cars. Like they like to hit the terrorist leaders when they're rolling. And I guess this has been a thing for a while that these kind of people that pay attention to these kind of strikes are trying to figure out. They've got pictures of cars where we took out different, like an Al-Qaeda leader. This one guy says, his name's Nick Waters. He said, I remember puzzling over these cuts for ages to work out what had hit the car of Abu Khair al-Mazari, deputy leader of Al-Qaeda. Well, it's this missile. You drop it straight down through the car, and then as it goes into the car, the blades pop out. They're like 6-foot-long blades or something like that. What's it say? It doesn't say how long they are, but these blades pop out. And then it comes down through the car. And so basically everyone in the car is toast, but you don't get the heat and the explosion and the fire taken out potentially, you could hit them in the middle of a street and not hurt any of the buildings.
Fascinating.
Around. So anyway, it's interesting.
Whoa. I'm looking at a picture of the roof of the car.
Yeah, you can see the cuts in the roof of the car.
It didn't shatter the windshield, but it ripped the metal and the roof of the car just to shreds.
The inside of the car was shredded, but the windshield's not even blown out.
That's absolutely incredible.
So, say what you will, at least they're trying to come up with
no. Look, I am all for pinpoint operations. I mean, look, if we can eliminate collateral damage. Look, another unpopular opinion this week: war has collateral damage. There are innocents who unfortunately get caught in the crossfire,
which is another reason why it should be a last resort and should be very carefully entered into, and should be entered into with a specific goal,
judicious
and that
discretion.
Goal should be gotten, worked toward at all, not, I won't say all cost at all, with all swiftness, and it should be brought to a resolution quickly.
Yes. Anyways, wow. Yeah. Hey,
but that was supposed to just be a wrap up. Biden's poll numbers is where you wanted to go here.
We wrapped it up. Yeah, let's talk about Biden. Biden, obviously, we had the Biden intro, which pretty good.
Biden,
I may have to pull out that last part because that felt weird. That felt really weird.
We've had a lot of weird intros today.
That felt weird. It was all good up until he's like, spread your legs. And yeah, I don't know if that's.
And yet you're continuing to just reminisce about it.
I know. I think we're gonna pull that.
Speaking of a spread.
So yeah,
he has quite the spread over all 21 other contenders.
So let's talk about the poll numbers. Joe Biden, Creepy Joe, is leading Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont, of course, 2-1. 18% Sanders has. 36% in the polls is what Biden has.
Yeah, this is amazing for him to have freshly announced. Everyone gets a bounce when they first announce, right? But he has announced. And he has held it, and it's staying consistently high.
As of right now, Jeff, I am calling Biden unless we have some other strange thing happen, I'm calling Biden the leader and probable nominee of the Democrats this year.
I think last week you asked for our opinions, and I called him as well as my probable nominee.
I think you're solid.
I'm afraid he's also the most likely that could beat Donald Trump the second time around.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. So let's talk about the others.
We can talk about the others real quick.
Buttigieg, or however you say his name.
Buttigieg, something like that.
Buttigieg, Buddha. I don't know. I'm just gonna not. Mayor Pete.
There you go.
9%. Elizabeth Warren 8%. Kamala Harris imploding at 6%.
What is that? What'd she come out? Because she came out with something a week or so ago that was actually a little bit again. It was opposite of the party line, and she basically got smacked down and had to apologize. And now here she is. She's been basically banished into irrelevance. You haven't heard anything from her.
Uncle Beto running at 2%.
Uncle,
with
he's
sure.
like
Uncle.
he's like your frat boy cousin.
He's probably younger than us, isn't he?
Not yours specifically.
No, he's 36, so he's running for president.
He's running for president.
So, yeah, got to be a little older. You got Senator Amy Klobuchar. Okay, thanks. Cory Booker, I can pronounce that name, all at 2%. You got Colorado's Hickenlooper, Tim Ryan from Ohio, and Andrew Yang, all polling at 1%.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah.
The field's ridiculous. I think they're going to cling on for a long time.
Oh, without a doubt. They're not going to drop out anytime soon. So
I think some like Buttigieg, obviously some of these people down at the bottom, they just have their key. What's the one guy who's just Swalwell or whatever that's just hardcore running on like gun control?
Didn't he get the nuke guy?
Yeah.
The guy who said that gun owners should be met with nukes.
No, he said, you think you're going to fight back against the government? They have nukes.
Pretty much, though. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say that.
But,
he threatened people. It's dumb.
It was a dumb statement.
Not a good way to go when 75% of the country owns guns.
But I think that you got people like that are just trying to get their pet issues out there.
Yeah.
And then you've got...
raising awareness.
Yeah. I'm still concerned that Buttigieg is a ploy to try to draw people into attacking him because he's playing the small town mayor, everyday guy, claims to be a Christian, although he is a practicing homosexual married to another man.
I was gonna make a joke about him being the closet candidate, but
no, he's not the closet candidate. He's wide out in the open, there's some concerns that he's just there to try to provide fodder for the left with the comments made by the conservatives on the right, whether they're legitimate comments, not foot and mouth comments or not, but just to try to force the conversation there. Because what did he do? He came out swinging. Mike Pence hasn't said anything, and he comes out swinging, trying to take it to Mike Pence, about, well, my God wouldn't do this, so.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I think
there's some interesting candidates, but I think your front runners are going to be Bernie and Biden. Now, the only maybe hope we can say of Biden's popularity is that the average Democrat is not Bernie Sanders AOC lefty. Like, let's pull out a red flag, wave the hammer and sickle. That the actual average Democrat base, well, further left than they were in the 90s, Bill Clinton could probably be a Democrat. The Bill Clinton of the 90s could be a Republican today. Yeah. But the Democrat base is just progressive, left center progressive, not I spent my honeymoon in Soviet Russia. and that's the one maybe small hope for the country out of the fact that Biden is leading. But I'm also afraid that
I think Biden's got a good chance.
Could win.
I mean, yeah. Both Biden and Trump are, a little bit handsy. So.
And they say dumb things.
And they both say dumb things. So
it's gonna just be a really weird. It's going to be a weird year and a half here.
I remember meeting him at a young age. He was an imposing man, 6'5", muscles of steel, black hair, and a rugged demeanor that made many strong men tremble in fear. He had a commanding voice and a piercing whistle. But despite that rough exterior, I saw a heart of gold in a man who taught me many things. He taught me the hard lesson of enjoying scalloped potatoes. He taught me to enjoy and to soak up the quiet moments. He taught me that when the fit hits the shan, to double down and to make the best of it. He taught me how to ski. He taught me how to love nature, how to fish, and how to cast a spinning rod. 15 minutes later, he taught me the valuable lesson of walking out that entire reel to remove the rat's nest. That might have been the same time that he taught me my first swear word. He taught me that fixing something on your own might not work, but it's worth the effort. He taught me that getting dirty isn't a bad thing. He taught me the value of hard work and taught me to respect everyone. He taught me that the best contract can be sealed with a handshake, not a pen. He taught me that the wealth of a man isn't in what he owns, but in what he does with what he's given. He taught me to own my faults and to strive to do better. He taught me to give anything I attempted my all. He taught me to be stubborn. He taught me there were two things in life that you should never teach your wife: driving a stick shift and how to ski. He was right. Other than my parents, I can't think of another person who has taught me so much about life. Many people knew Myron Willis Van Ness, and most people remember him as Myron, Will, or Van. But me, I was one of the few. I got to call him Grandpa. Myron Willis Van Ness, born January 14th, 1928, passed April 2019.
Alabama bound.
Must have been a bad batch around here because Floyd counties went crazy in the last 4 days. When I finally got down here to the house to look to see what happened, the door was standing wide open. It looked like he was packing up for a yard sale when he came out. He was lying, throwing his hands, saying stuff like, I didn't do it, you know how rogues do, and blaming on everybody else. He did pull a gun on me when I got back around the house because I guess he thought I was upset with him. Who steals a cheese grater? He's got the words Lysol. He stole an empty bottle of spray. What got me the most was my soap. He stole my soap. Who steals soap?
Jeff, I think Ohio may have the friendliest, nicest burglars ever.
Which is weird because I don't usually talk about that.
What do you mean?
That state down to the...
Oh, that state. Well, I think that's because you don't like Ohio football. Could be part of your major issue with them.
It's just Ohio. You know what? When you hold your hand up like this, what's below your hand?
Your armpit. Oh,
yeah, the armpit of the nation.
Wow.
They're down there below the mitten. They're down there below the mitten.
So get this, Jeff. So we're driving into town this morning to head to Hobby Lobby, and I have all of a sudden coming up behind me 2 Dodge Chargers, and I'm like, well, this is odd.
Oh, Dodge Chargers could be...
And they swing out into the left lane, and I see they've got Michigan manufacturer plates on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They have apparently like a tow hitch in the back behind these Chargers.
On Chargers.
And also they've got hydraulic hookups, which I assume is to turn off the braking system on the car. As if they were track cars. Okay.
Interesting.
They are followed up by 3 other Dodge vehicles. 2 pickups with tool chests in the back and stuff. And I'm thinking, a race team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
A little weird that they're driving the race car down the road, right?
Yeah.
But they've all got Michigan plates on the car. Or Michigan manufacturer plates.
Yeah, okay.
Like the specific manufacturer. It says manufacturer plate.
Yeah.
And then I have
they got the M in the middle.
Yeah, but I've got like 6 more that come past. Dodge Chargers, and then like 4 Dodge Dart rally cars. Like painted up. Like 3 or 4 more pickups. Jeff, we don't have any racetracks up here, like road courses or anything.
So
I don't have a clue what they were doing. They were hauling through my little town of northeast Nebraska, and they were headed west, which is even weirder because there is nothing to the west of us. Absolutely nothing.
That is true. There is literally nothing to the west of you.
It's 250 miles like of nothing. I don't have a clue where they were going. I don't know what they were doing. I tried to look it up online. I assume it was either Dodge or some small manufacturer who bought up cars and they were doing testing or something, because like one of them had an actual like police radar system set up on the dash.
I wonder if they were doing some sort of like over the road.
Yeah, I don't
drive
know.
Tests.
But they were fairly new vehicles. Like they were probably 2018s. I don't think they were 2019s or 2020s. The only other thing I was thinking was maybe it's a TV show and they got the vehicles from the manufacturer and are driving them to a destination for whatever purpose. And so I don't know if Grand Tour's filming already. That was my first thought.
There you go. Maybe
that
it's
was
a
my
Grand
first
Tour.
thought. Because they were it was 3 or 4 matching rally cars, and then the Chargers were all the same. I take that back. The Chargers were not the same. They were different packages. They were different packages when I was looking at them.
Okay.
And so, like, I was really weirded out. But the one that tried to get over in front of me at the stoplight, which I let him in because, bigger car, a lot more horsepower. He had about 700 horses under the hood. I figured I wasn't going to beat him with my, 180 horsepower VW.
Your personally rebuilt multiple times VW. You didn't think that
Redneck Engineering, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Redneck Engineering. Anyways, just a weird this morning, because I was like, on a Saturday nonetheless. On a Saturday, northeast Nebraska at 10 o'clock in the morning. Where in the world are they going? Bizarre. Don't know.
What's anybody doing in Nebraska is my question.
Well, why is anyone not from Nebraska doing in Nebraska?
Even more important.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Interesting. Anyways, back to Ohio.
With that. Sorry,
Detroit.
You threw me off
were
with
talking
that
about the hand, and I was like,
really don't know
Detroit,
what that has to do with cars and.
I thought about Detroit cars.
Oh, the Michigan manufacturer plates.
Yeah. Okay. Back to Ohio, Vinton County, Ohio. Nicest burglars ever.
That was it. I thought we had made it through this episode without one of your completely unrelated rabbit trails.
No,
we didn't make it.
That will not ever happen, Jeff. That will not ever happen. In Endgame where they're talking about diverging timelines, Jeff. I figured.
Are we going to say spoiler alert at this point?
I don't care anymore. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
3 weeks.
Spoiler alert.
I don't care.
Okay.
Diverging timelines, okay? That's my head. Diverging timelines.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
It's an absolute rat nest of insanity in there. Vinton County, Ohio. 9 a.m., deputies arrived at a house, spoke with a resident who said a woman named Cheyenne Ewing broke into a house and began acting bizarrely.
It's probably Ewing.
Ewing, probably.
I don't know.
The victim said she entered through a back door, sat down on the couch, and began to pet the family dog. She then got up and washed the dishes and then left the house.
Was the homeowner home when this happened, or did she see this on a security camera?
It appears that the homeowner was home.
So somebody just walked in your house.
Yeah.
Now, it says she broke into a home.
Yes.
So did she literally break the door down to get in and do this, or did she just open a door and walk in?
I'm not sure. Obviously, I'm not sure. The story is very vague, of course, because that's how things go. Jeff, I think I just would have let her go.
Well, notice
anyone who's just willing to pet my dog and wash my dishes.
She waited till she washed the dishes to call the police, or maybe they just didn't show up in time.
Maybe not.
But she did let her wash the dishes. So the homeowner was actually kind of smart with how she played.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Get some work out of her. I mean, I'm just saying, my door's always open. If you want to come over and wash dishes, come on over. Obvious, looking at the picture of this woman, she was under the influence of narcotics. She had been awake for 2 days. Shocking.
Night.
Man.
2 days.
Man. I tell you, man.
Sounds like college.
Yeah, well, not our college. I was never awake for 2 days.
I found ways to pull all-nighters.
Did you really?
No, yeah.
I had that one. Do you remember that?
I do remember you panicking about some sort of project.
Yeah, so that was developmental psychology. I stayed up all night, and we hung the towels or we hung the.
I usually had a blanket over the side of the bunk.
Well, no, we did the blanket over the side of the bunk, but I had to work at my desktop, and so we actually hung blankets up in the doorway over the cabinets.
So weird.
We had to, Jeff.
I know, but it's
so ridiculous that we had
other
to.
people won't understand.
No,
but it is
so
but
just for the audience to know, we went to an incredibly conservative school that had a lot of rules.
Now, I don't disagree with it. The dorm rooms were not like modern dorm rooms.
No,
so you had bunks and it was all common space. You didn't have like your own bedroom or anything. So
but we were required to be asleep or in bed by midnight.
Yeah, there was a lights out of midnight.
No reading, no anything after midnight.
And the intent
sometimes there was stuff that had to get done.
The intent was so that you didn't bother your roommates and keep your roommates from being able to get sleep and keep it from being a problem.
The problem is the study lounge should have been open 24/7.
Exactly, and that's changed now, I believe.
Has it? Really?
Yes. But yeah, so sometimes stuff's got to get done.
Best hours of my life,
understand
Jeff.
That.
Best hours of my life.
So
midnight.
Anyway,
I mean midnight.
Yes.
11 to 2 a.m. That's my prime time, Jeff.
I've written a lot of good papers during those hours.
I know. Same here. Anyways, what was I thinking? Oh, yeah.
We're just talking about being up for 2 days straight.
Being up for 2 days straight.
So,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Good.
So she was arrested and taken to jail and charged with burglary.
She was. Which means apparently she probably
took something.
Yeah, she's probably took something.
But she is obviously the most friendly burglar besides the Hamburglar.
Is burglary? I guess if she hadn't taken anything, it would have been breaking and entering. And if she hadn't broken anything, it would have been trespassing. So she had to have taken something.
Enter into a building illegally with intent to commit a crime, especially theft.
Okay, so she must have entered with the intent to steal something.
Wow. Yeah.
Whereas trespassing, you can be nailed for trespassing.
Can you claim she intended? She didn't probably know what she was intending to do, but
possibly not.
But that's what drugs do, kids. So.
Well, she'll plead down to something. She'll plead down to breaking and entering or something. Yeah. A lot of times, the prosecutor will throw a bigger charge at you than you'll ever get in court,
just to get you to plea.
Just to get you to plea down. Jeff, whiplash segue here.
Here it is. We got to get one in.
Here it is, Jeff. Here it is. Jeff, you've heard the saying that the milkshakes bring all the boys to the yard.
I didn't know that was a saying.
Apparently.
And I probably shouldn't admit, but yes, I've heard that.
Apparently, helium is what brings everyone to Party City.
That's a weird analogy. I don't know what you're talking about.
So Party City is closing 45 stores because of a global shortage of helium.
They're like temporarily
closing, like shutting them down
purely because of the global shortage of helium.
Because of a shortage of helium. Apparently, the company's Mylar balloon sales fell 8% last quarter, dragging down overall sales down 1.4%. Balloons are apparently the company's biggest profit.
But are the balloon sales down because they don't have helium to fill them?
Yes.
Or are the balloon sales down for other reasons? When's the last time you got a balloon for anything?
Apparently, I haven't. I was wondering the same thing. I haven't. I don't do balloons.
We did balloons we did like a balloon that spelled out the word one for my nephews, my twin nephew's 1 year birthday. Yeah. But even then it was you buy it at like Target and you blow it up yourself and put it on the wall. It doesn't even have helium in it. So
apparently like people have been going elsewhere looking for party goods because Party City doesn't have helium to fill balloons.
So you don't have helium for my balloons. I'm also not going to grab my cards and my confetti.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
As I said, helium brings the people to the store.
I didn't know that there was a global shortage of helium.
So that's interesting. You ask, Jeff. There is a global shortage of helium.
But
helium.
So can you say why?
Yes, helium is the biggest, the most, I guess, one of the most prolific resources in the universe because of all the moon or all the stars. Because of all the stars. So stars are burning and consuming helium or something. I don't know the science behind it. Don't care. But the Earth has a finite... I know.
You were sounding so smart. And
I know.
Just
I know.
Smack.
Yep. No, just ran right into a wall. So helium is a finite resource on Earth. Helium is found buried under rock, and it's actually found floating on top of natural gas.
Okay.
In natural gas, fracking wells, if you will.
Yeah.
And so energy companies collect the helium and then they sell it. But it's a tiny, tiny fragment of the percentages. Couple years ago, I think in 2016, I was reading an article where a bunch of drillers had claimed that they found a ton of helium and that we no longer have a shortage. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out, and the helium supplier for Party City has basically run out of helium and can't supply them with enough.
Interesting.
And so they've signed on with a new helium supplier, finding new helium. What stinks, and I think this is the reason for the stores closing, the new supplier is not coming on until summer. And the biggest time of the year, due to the graduation season, is May.
Do you, in your state, do you do like open houses?
I was invited to like 3 or 4 last year, and I unfortunately didn't make it to any one of them.
Because I feel like I've run into it, like it's almost a uniquely Midwest thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Like in the South, I didn't notice it as much. Up here in the Midwest, like you have an open house, and it's like literally you put up a tent in your backyard, you invite people to your house, you've got food for them, or at least cake, and you have like all your little achievements set out. This is for high school, graduation.
New England, if you had anything, it was like a big party,
and you just kind of go around. And so there's usually several weekends right after graduation where you go around to all the different open houses, and it's a season here.
No, like we had legit parties in Vermont for graduation. Like people would put up tents, and kind of similar.
Oh yeah, I mean you could do like just cupcakes, or you could have the people grilling out. Like, it could be anything.
Listen, it's interesting. I mean, I never did that.
I would have never called that Party City would go out of business.
My graduating class of 2, we didn't do a whole lot.
Oh. Sorry. I thought when you said it's weird, I thought you were back to the going out of business.
No. So helium, man. So prices are going to rise, Party City says. They don't think it's going to rise too much because helium is still cheap, even though it's a finite resource. I guess there's not much use for helium other than balloons.
Or sounding funny.
Which you're not supposed to do, Jeff. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to huff helium.
What's the other? Have you seen that video? There's another gas, because it's all about how the gas interacts with your vocal cords, right?
Yes.
So air, we're used to hearing air go across the vocal cords, and so it vibrates at a certain frequency.
I wonder if there's like a gas that we could like huff that makes you sound. I shouldn't even say that on the air.
There's another one. I forget what it is. It makes you sound like a demon. Like
really?
It's creepy. Yeah,
that's not cool. That's
maybe
not
in a break we'll look for it. Yeah, I've heard there's another one. I guess that's really scary.
Break, Jeff.
To do
break. We're done.
We're done.
We're done, Jeff.
All right. Well, then we're gonna have to bring it next week. We'll look for it next.
We'll look for it. Jeff will come back. Jeff will test some gases.
No, I don't know. I will be doing the testing, but I think I've seen a video. I don't know if it was. I think it might be MythBusters.
Interesting. Maybe.
So
I'm not surprised. 402-799-1811 message line number. Leave us a call during the week. Check us out on the web, www.thefrontporchshow.com. Thank you for joining us this week. It's been fabulous. Jeff and I have enjoyed your presence. And maybe next week we'll see Tombstone. He might get stuck at the beach. Or he might be at an Andrew Yang conference.
That's my suspicion.